Do you ever start working on a chapter or a task and then your mind just starts wandering off because it wants to do something else? Are you getting increasingly frustrated because you set aside a whole day to work on that task and you ended up doing something completely different? Now you're being chased for the thing that you should have been working on and you're just freaking out. If any of this sounds familiar, then you are probably quite prone to shiny object syndrome. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley, and I have seen a lot of cases of shiny object syndrome during the past 20 years that I've been supporting PhD students. And I've not only seen it in PhD students, I've experienced it myself. So I have got shiny object syndrome. I have got over shiny object syndrome. I have taught other people how to deal with shiny object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome just kind of comes with the territory for those of us who have these creative, rebellious brains that just want to do their own thing. But if we want to fulfill our potential, if we want to gain any traction with anything, then we need to tackle shiny object syndrome. In this video, I'm going to be looking at what shiny object syndrome is and why we need to get on top of it. Secondly, what we can do when we are in the midst of shiny object syndrome. And thirdly and lastly, some of the things that we can do to prevent it from happening or to minimize the impact of it. So first up, what is shiny object syndrome and why do we need to tackle it? It's essentially a psychological phenomenon whereby we get distracted by exciting and new ideas or opportunities. It means we get easily distracted from our current tasks and our current goals. And once we get that itch, it can be really difficult for us to focus on the things that we really do need to be focusing on. And if you are sat there nodding right now, comment, "Yes, this is me," below. Creativity is a great characteristic for any PhD student, but you do need to get the shiny object syndrome element of that in check, because if you don't, you are going to be starting a load of things that you never end up finishing, and you're not going to gain any traction because your focus is just going to be so diluted. And when it comes to a PhD, there are things that you need to see through. There are things that you need to complete because otherwise you are never going to get your doctorate. So maintaining your concentration and your commitment to your long-term goals is absolutely vital. One of the side effects of experiencing shiny object syndrome all of the time is that you end up feeling massively unaccomplished because you're not gaining traction with anything, as I've just said. And this feeling really sucks. We need to tackle your shiny object syndrome because at the moment it is holding you back. It keeps you playing small because you become like this crab that is constantly moving from side to side, from shiny object to shiny object to shiny object, and you're never actually moving forward. Because of all of this sideways movement and all of this distraction, you are essentially stuck in the same place. And by entertaining shiny object syndrome, we are getting in our own way. We are creating our very own glass ceiling. So that's what it is. That's what some of the problems are with it. What can we do about it? Firstly, we need to look at what we can do when it's actually happening, when shiny object syndrome is kind of itching away and it is getting our attention, and we may well go down that rabbit hole. We need to recognize that it's happening and actually talk to it. Now, I know this is going to sound really strange, but bear with me. So you might want to say to it, "Hey, hi shiny object syndrome, I've not seen you for a while. Isn't it strange that you would show up now, just while I'm working on this important thing?" When you verbalize it like this, you turn it into something that you are in control of because you are talking to it, you are talking at it. And that makes it more likely that you'll be able to challenge it. Next, you need to pause and reflect and think about the thing that you're getting distracted by. And consider, does this actually add any value to the thing that you're supposed to be concentrating on at the moment? Is this going to enhance that task that you're working on in any way, shape or form? Or is it something that is literally distracting you, that is going to take you away from focusing on this important thing? If it adds value, then that's great. Try and find a way to incorporate it into what you're doing without massively disrupting or delaying what you're doing. If it really isn't relevant to what you're doing, if it just is a distraction that is taking you away from an important task that you have to focus on, the thing that you need to do here is not ignore it. Okay, I've heard lots of people say, well, just ignore it, just don't listen to it, just focus on the thing that you're doing. I don't think that works. And speaking as somebody who has got a brain that is a little bit creative, a little bit chaotic, it will not shut up. Okay, you can ignore that thought or that idea or that thing that is kind of trying to get its grip on you, but that won't last for long because it won't go away. It will continue kind of niggling away at you until you do something about it. So the thing that I recommend that people do is get yourself a notebook, literally like I've got here. This is my shiny object syndrome notebook. And this is what I use to write down ideas that come into my head when I'm supposed to be focusing on something. So what I do is I get this notebook out and I spend 5 to 10 minutes just writing down the idea that is in my head. Because when it's in this notebook, when it is in here, it is safe in here. It's not going anywhere when it's in there. And I know and I feel assured that I can go back to that at some point later on when I don't have other things that I need to be working on. I know that it's not going to disappear, because I think that is often the fear, isn't it? When we get an idea that comes into our minds that isn't always relevant to what we're currently doing, that we'll forget about it, that it will disappear, that it will be an opportunity that's just gone. And that would be tragic. So write it down because it is safe in a notebook, all right? It's not going anywhere. After you've done that, turn your attention back to what it was that you were originally working on and remind yourself of why that particular thing is important. Literally say out loud to yourself, or write it down if you want to, I am working on, insert name of thing you're working on. This is important because, explain why it's important. And by actually putting this into words and actually having this in front of you, this is going to help you in terms of finding that little spark of motivation to get focused on that thing again. So I am working on this. This is important because, make sure that you really do take the time to do that, because that will help you get back into it. And then just get on with it. And you might find that using something like the Pomodoro technique or time blocking might be a helpful thing to do here. So actually setting a timer for 30 minutes and then working for 30 minutes, then having a break, then working for another 30 minutes. That can be a really good way of just getting some momentum going with it and stopping your mind from wandering. And I will put some links in the description to videos about using time blocking, how to do it, how to make it work for you. So go and check out the description for those. So we've dealt with what to do when we are in the grip of shiny object syndrome. What can we do to minimise the risk of it happening again, or to minimise the impact of it when it does happen again? Now, this one sounds really boring and it sounds really obvious, but have clear goals, okay? Every month, every week, even every day, have clear things that you are working on that you want to achieve within those timeframes. So for example, if you're working on your ethical approval application at the moment and that is your priority for this month, you can say, right, that is my focus for this month. And in the first week, I'm going to work on this particular task. In the second week, I'm going to move on to this. And in the third week, I'm going to focus on doing this particular part of it. So take your goal and break it down and actually have specific, tangible things that you need to be doing each week, milestones that you need to reach. Knowing what you're working towards is really helpful in keeping you focused. And just a quick side note here, I actually do a reflect and plan power hour every month for the Degree Doctor community. And we all get together on Zoom and we reflect on how the last month has gone, and we make some plans and we set some goals for the next month. And we all have a lovely time together. Everybody keeps each other accountable. We're able to see what other people have been struggling with, what's been working for other people. It can actually be a really helpful thing for just bringing your focus back and having that date in the diary to be working towards. So if you're interested in joining us for the next Reflect and Plan Power Hour, I will put some details in the description as to how you can get involved in that. The next thing you need to do is learn how to say no to things. Now, there is a tendency among PhD students, and I've spoken about this before, to say yes to things, to take advantage of every opportunity that comes their way because they are smart, ambitious, and driven people. However, you've got to recognise when something is useful for your development or your career and when something is just a distraction, okay? And the line isn't always that clear, because there will be some things that will be helpful for you right now, and there are other things that actually, yeah, they're interesting and they sound fun, but they're not going to be that helpful for you until a year down the line. So know when to recognise, is this a shiny object, or is this actually going to help me reach the particular goal that I'm working on at the moment? Just get used to saying no. And this can be quite a difficult thing to do because you don't want to come across as rude. You don't want to seem like you're, letting people down or not getting involved in academic life. But you need to be really firm in terms of your boundaries. And I will put up on the screen now, actually, some useful phrases that are helpful when you are saying no to something, when you are declining something. Because sometimes it can be quite difficult to put that into words. So feel free to use any of these things. Another great strategy is finding an accountability partner. So if you have a friend or a relative or a colleague who also suffers from shiny object syndrome, you might want to pair up and hold each other accountable and say, okay, this month I'm working towards this thing. And your accountability partner might be choosing a particular thing that they are working towards. And you will then come together, hold each other accountable for that, check in with each other on a regular basis. You might want to have some work or study sessions together. It just can be useful to bring other people in to support us when we are trying to hold shiny object syndrome at bay and to stay focused. So do think about getting an accountability partner. The last thing that you need to do is reward yourself when you have completed something. And I'm not just talking about the huge things here, like finishing your PhD or getting the first draft of your literature review done, because those are quite big, chunky things. I'm talking about the smaller things, the smaller steps that get you towards those bigger goals. So, for example, you might have finished drafting your ethical approval application. You might have finished transcribing an interview with a participant that lasted 2 hours and it has just been a complete nightmare to do. You might have completed your paperwork to apply for funding for a particular conference. All of these things add up. All of these things are small steps along your journey, and you need to make sure that you are celebrating these wins, no matter how small they are, because they are all contributing towards getting you to where you want to be. So to recap what we covered in this video. Firstly, what shiny object syndrome is and why we need to tackle it. Secondly, what to do when you are in the midst of shiny object syndrome. And thirdly, what to do to prevent it from happening or to minimise the impact of it when it does happen. Shiny object syndrome is really common amongst PhD students, but with a little self-awareness and a notebook and some boundaries, you can stop it getting in your way. Share your experiences of shiny object syndrome in the comments. Let's start talking about this. And join me in a few days' time when I will have another video on navigating the messy and the magical seasons of PhD life. I'll see you then.